For example, how do we balance individual responsibility
Yeah.
with the need to address systemic inequality?
Right.
And how do we have nuanced conversation
Yeah.
about race and racism
Right.
without resorting to inflammatory language
Yeah.
or oversimplifications?
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground already,
Yeah, we have.
and we've barely scratched the
Yeah.
It's packed with controversial claims
It is.
and provocative arguments.
It is.
And we've only just begun to unpack it all.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah, it's interesting how he frames like woke culture
Yeah.
as this like monolithic entity, like it's almost
Yeah.
some sort of organized group
Yeah.
with like a singular agenda.
Right. Like he uses the term woke, almost like a
Right.
label,
Right.
a way
Yeah.
to categorize anyone who talks about
Right.
race or racism
Yeah.
in a way that he disagrees with.
Yeah, and by doing so, he
Yeah.
simplifies a very diverse and complex landscape
Right.
of perspectives and approaches
Right.
to social justice.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, within woke culture,
Yeah.
there are ongoing debates
Yeah.
about the best ways to achieve equality,
Right.
with some advocating for systemic change,
Yeah.
while others emphasize individual empowerment.
Right.
These nuances
Yeah.
get lost when we treat woke as a catch-all term.
You know what actually reminded me
No.
of how certain terms get weaponized
Totally.
in political discourse?
Yeah.
Where they're used not to foster understanding,
Right.
but to shut down conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we reduce complex issues to simplistic labels,
Right.
it becomes much harder to engage in productive dialogue.
Right.
It creates an us versus them mentality
Yeah.
that hinders our ability to
Right.
find common ground and work towards solutions.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into this idea
Yeah.
of woke culture making things worse.
Okay.
He uses this analogy,
Okay.
saying woke activists
Yeah.
would be out of business if racism disappeared.
Right.
Isn't there a danger in suggesting
Yeah, I think so.
that people are somehow benefiting from these problems?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That kind of rhetoric can be very dangerous. It implies that those
Yeah.
working towards social justice
Right.
are somehow invested in perpetuating
Right.
the very issues they claim to be fighting against.
Right.
This not only undermines their credibility,
Yeah.
but also discourages others
Right.
from engaging in these important conversations.
It almost feels like he's setting up a scenario
Right.
where any attempt to address racism
Yeah.
is automatic.
And that's where it becomes
Right.
particularly concerning
Yeah.
if we start from the premise
Yeah.
that everyone who speaks out against racism
Right.
has ulterior motives.
Yeah.
Then we're essentially shutting down
Right.
any possibility of meaningful dialogue
Right.
or progress.
He also uses this phrase, professional victim,
Right.
to describe people who talk about
Yeah.
their experiences with racism.
Right.
It seems like he's dismissing their experiences
It is.
as somehow illegitimate.
That's a tactic often used
Yeah.
to silence marginalized voices
Right.
by labeling them as professional victims.
Right.
He's implying that they're exaggerating their experiences
Okay.
for personal gain.
Yeah.
Rather than expressing genuine pain and frustration,
Mm-hmm.
it shifts the focus away from the systemic issues
Right.
that contribute to these experiences and places the blame
Yeah.
on the individuals themselves.
So it's like he's saying,
Yeah.
stop complaining and just get over it.
It's certainly a message
Yeah.
that resonates with a certain segment of society,
Right.
particularly those who believe
Right.
that individual effort is the sole determinant of success.
That's right.
But it completely ignores
Yeah.
the very real barriers and challenges that people of color face
Yeah.
on a daily basis
Right.
due to systemic racism.
And it's worth noting
Yeah.
that this perspective often comes from a place of privilege
Yeah.
from those who haven't personally experienced
Exactly.
the sting of discrimination.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's easy to tell people to just get over it when you haven't had to walk in their shoes.
You know, it's interesting
Yeah.
because he actually contradicts himself
Okay.
a bit later when he talks about black race.
Okay.
He gets quite passionate about this,
Okay.
saying it's wrong to claim
Hey.
that only white people can be racist.
This is where the conversation gets even more complex.
Right.
He seems to be pushing back
Yeah.
against this idea
Okay.
that racism
Yeah.
is solely a function of power,
Right.
arguing that anyone can hold prejudiced beliefs
Right.
and engage
Yeah.
in discriminatory behavior.
Okay.
And on the surface,
Yeah.
it might sound like he's advocating
Right.
for a more nuanced understanding of racism.
Okay.
But I think there's a risk of overlooking
Yeah.
a critical distinction.
What do you mean?
Well, it's true
Yeah.
that anyone can hold prejudiced beliefs,
Okay.
but the impact of those beliefs
Right.
is not. When those beliefs are held by individuals
Right.
in positions of power,
Right.
they can translate into systemic discrimination.
Okay.
That affects entire communities.
Right.
That's the difference between
Consent.
individual prejudice
Yeah.
and systemic racism.
So is he saying that systemic racism doesn't?
I mean,
Because he keeps coming back to this idea
right.
that people need to take responsibility for their own lives
Yeah.
and stop blaming racism for their problems?
He doesn't explicitly deny
Okay.
the existence of systemic racism.
Okay.
But his focus on individual responsibility
Right.
seems to overshadow
Right.
its significance.
Okay.
He argues that
Okay.
dwelling on racism
Mm-hmm.
is a form of self-sabotage,
Okay.
that it keeps people trapped
Right.
in a cycle of victimhood.
Yeah.
And while it's true
Yeah.
that we shouldn't allow ourselves
Okay.
to be defined by our experiences with racism,
Okay.
it's dangerous to suggest
Yeah.
that simply ignoring it will make it go away.
It's like telling someone who's been injured
Right.
to just walk it off
Yeah.
without addressing the underlying wound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Systemic racism
Yeah.
is a deep-seated wound
Yeah.
in our society.
Yeah.
And it requires more than just individual resilience
Right.
to heal.
Mm-hmm.
It requires a collective effort
Yeah. Yeah.
to dismantle the structures that
Yeah.
perpetuate
Yeah.
inequality and discrimination.
And this ties back to
Yeah.
his earlier point about woke culture.
Right.
He seems to be suggesting that by constantly talking about race and racism,
Yeah.
these woke folks are actually making things worse.
It's a common critique
Yeah.
of social justice movements
Right.
that they're too focused on identity politics,
Right.
and that this focus
Yeah.
is divisive and counterproductive.
Yeah.
And while it's true
Yeah.
that identity politics
Mm-hmm.
can sometimes lead to a sense of fragmentation,
Right.
it's important to remember, that these movements arose
Right.
out of a need
Yeah.
to address
Mhm.
very real experiences
Uh-huh.
of marginalization and oppression.
So it's not just about
Right.
complaining or playing the victim card.
No, it's about
Yeah.
raising awareness,
Okay.
challenging the status quo,
Mm-hmm.
and demanding systemic change.
Okay.
It's about giving a voice
Right.
to those who have been silenced and marginalized
Yeah.
for far too.
But doesn't he have a point about
Yeah.
the danger of dwelling too much on the past?
Okay.
He talks about how
Yeah.
constantly focusing on historical injustices
Right.
can prevent people from moving forward
Yeah.
and achieving their full potential.
That's where the conversation gets
Yeah.
really nuanced.
Yeah.
It's not about forgetting the past,
Okay.
but about learning from it
Right.
and using that knowledge
Okay.
to build a better future.
Right.
We can't simply erase history,
Right.
but we can choose how we interpret it,
Yeah.
how we allow it
Yeah.
to shape our present and our future.
So it's about finding a balance
Yeah.
between acknowledging the past
Right.
and empowering individuals
Mhm.
to create a better future for themselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about recognizing
Yeah.
that both individual agency
Mm-hmm.
and systemic factors
Right.
play a role
Yeah.
in shaping our lives. We can't control the circumstances we're born into,
Okay.
but we can choose
Right.
how we respond to them.
Yeah.
And we can work collectively
Right.
to create a society where
Yeah.
everyone has the opportunity to thrive,
Right.
regardless of their background.
And that brings us to his point about
Oh. Yeah.
the power of perception.
Yeah.
He talks about how
Mm-hmm.
if you believe you can't succeed because of your race,
Yeah.
probably won't.
This is where he taps into the concept of the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
The idea that our beliefs can shape our reality.
Okay.
If you believe you're limited by your race,
Right.
you might be less likely
Right. Yeah.
to take risks,
Okay.
pursue certain opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
or even put in the necessary effort
Yeah.
to succeed.
So he's advocating for a mindset,
Yeah.
a focus on
Right.
personal empowerment
Yeah.
and believing in your own potential.
That's one way to interpret it.
Okay.
He's encouraging viewers
Yeah.
to adopt a more
Yeah.
optimistic and proactive
Yeah.
approach to life
Right.
rather than
Right.
succumbing to a sense of victimhood.
And this ties back to his
Yeah.
earlier point about personal responsibility.
Right.
He seems to be saying
Yeah.
that we need to take ownership
Right.
of our thoughts and beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and not allow ourselves
Yeah.
to be defined by external.
But again, it's important to remember
Right.
that this individualistic perspective doesn't fully account for
Right.
the systemic barriers
Okay.
that people of color face.
Right.
It's one thing to encourage self-belief and resilience,
Okay.
but it's quite another to suggest
Right.
that simply changing your mindset
Right.
will magically erase those barriers.
It's a delicate balance, isn't it?
It is.
Recognizing the very real challenges
Yes.
that systemic racism presents,
Right.
while also empowering individuals
Right.
to strive for
Yeah.
their full potential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a conversation that requires nuance
Mm-hmm.
and sensitivity,
Yeah.
and it's one that we need to keep having
Right.
if we truly want to create a more just and equitable society.
He certainly doesn't shy away from making bold statements.
He does not.
Even if they're controversial. I
Right.
mean, he calls people idiots
Right?
and professional victims.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of language is helpful?
Oh, that's a matter of opinion.
And- right.
Of course.
Right.
Some might find his blunt style refreshing,
Yeah.
while others might find it offensive or alienating.
Yeah.
What's important is to
Right.
look beyond the rhetoric
Right.
and engage with the substance of
Yeah.
his argument. Are his points valid? Are they supported by evidence?
Right.
Are they contributing to a productive conversation?
Right.
These are the questions we should be asking ourselves
Right.
as we navigate
Right.
these complex
Right.
and often emotionally charged topics.
It's clear he's trying to spark a debate
Yeah.
to challenge convention
Right.
about race and
And in that sense, he's succeeded.
yeah.
Whether you agree with him or not, his video forces us
Yeah.
to confront some uncomfortable truths
Yeah.
about ourselves and the society we live in.
Right.
It compels us to think critically
Right.
about the complexities of race,
Yeah.
racism,
Yeah.
and the role we each play in
Ugh.
creating a more
Yeah.
just and equitable world.
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
but there's still so much to unpack.
A lot.
His video is dense
It is.
with ideas and arguments.
Yeah.
And we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
It's fascinating
Yeah.
how much emphasis he puts
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
the power of perception.
Right.
He keeps coming back to this idea
Right.
that
Yeah.
your beliefs
Mhm.
about yourself
Yeah.
and the world around you
Yeah.
will ultimately shape your reality.
It's like it's a fascinating concept. It's
Yeah.
been explored in
Yeah.
various fields,
Right.
from psychology to sociology.
Right.
He's essentially arguing that if you believe you're a victim,
Right.
you'll act like one.
Yeah.
And that can become a self-prophecy.
100%.
He uses this really striking example.
Okay.
He talks about how he used to blame racism
Right.
for not making the basketball kid,
Okay.
but later realized,
Yeah.
and I'm quoting him here,
Okay.
I just sucked.
It's funny because that anecdote
Yeah.
speaks to a common cognitive bias
Okay.
known as the fundamental attribution error.
Okay.
It's our tendency
Okay.
to attribute our own successes
Yeah.
to internal factors like talent or
Right.
hard work,
Right.
but blame our failures
Yeah.
on external factors
Yeah.
like bad luck or, in this case, discrimination.
Right.
And you can see how this could apply
Yeah.
to any area of life,
Right.
not just race.
So is he suggesting that we all
I wouldn't say
Right.
he's accusing everyone
Okay.
playing the victim,
Right.
but he's definitely highlighting the danger
Yeah.
of falling into a pattern
Right.
of blaming external forces for our
Right.
own shortcomings.
Okay.
And to be fair, there is a lot of truth to that.
Right.
If we constantly focus on
Yeah.
what's holding us back,
Yeah.
we might miss opportunities to grow and improve.
That makes me think about the concept of learned helplessness,
Yeah.
where people
Yeah.
essentially give up because they believe they have no control over their situation.
Exactly. And that's what he seems to be cautioning against.
Right.
He's urging viewers
Right.
to adopt
Yeah.
a more empowered mindset,
Right.
to recognize that they have agency
Right.
and can influence their own outcome,
Okay.
even in the face of adversity.
But how do you reconcile that with the very real
Right.
systemic barriers
Yeah.
that people of color face?
Tension
Yeah.
at the heart of his argument.
Right.
And it's a tension
Yeah.
that exists within society as a whole.
Yeah.
How do we acknowledge
Yeah.
the very real impact of systemic factors
Right.
while also empowering individuals
Yeah.
to take ownership of their lives?
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance,
Right.
and there's no easy answer.
He seems to be suggesting
Yeah.
that by focusing too much on racism,
Okay.
we actually become more limited by it. He uses this phrase,
Yeah.
self-perpetuated prison of victim.
Yeah, it's a provocative image.
Right.
And it speaks to the idea
Yeah.
that our beliefs can become self-limiting.
Right.
If we constantly see ourselves
Yeah.
as victims,
Yeah.
we might be less likely
Yeah.
to take risks,
Yeah.
pursue opportunities,
Right.
or even believe that we're capable of achieving our goals.
Right.
And that can become a vicious cycle.
It's like that Henry Ford quote,
Right.
whether you think you can or you think you can't. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what he seems to be getting at. He's
Yeah.
arguing that our mindset
Right.
plays a crucial role
Right.
in shaping our reality.
Okay.
And while it's important
Yeah.
to acknowledge the very real impact of systemic factors,
Right.
we shouldn't allow those factors to
Yeah.
define us or limit our potential.